What's going on, everybody? Jordan Canady back. I figured I had some time to make some video. Just got endorsed for my commercial multi Checkride. So it'll probably be in about 2-3 weeks. So I figured I'd make some videos about the CFI initial, kind of breaking down some stuff. This will kind of just be, not in depth. If you want more in depth stuff, I can do that, breaking down certain actual topics in the ACS. But this is kind of my top 5 tips for passing the ACS CFI initial Checkride. So first, number one, know the ACS. And as you see, I got pulled up here, the ACS. You can find it online. You can buy the book off Amazon for $10-15. I suggest doing this as well, having both copies. I like this because I can go through, highlight stuff, and write notes on it. Because I'm going to have this out. I had this out in the Checkride. If there's an acronym I forgot, and he's talking about, what is, for example, Maslow's hierarchy. For some reason you forget that, which you shouldn't. You'll write it down in here. You got it down. Let's say you forget the laws of learning. Reaper. Put that in there and help you recognize it. Things like that. Because, a lot of the FOIs, you want to make a great first impression because it's going to be the first thing you're talking about. So FOIs, so Echo, Foxtrot are going to be guaranteed. So you need to know those for sure. And I'm going to pick one more. I got Task Alpha, human behavior, so knowing definitions, knowing things like that. But what I'm trying to emphasize here is what is is going to be there. You need to know. Do not struggle with that. That's a bad look because you knew it was going to be there and you weren't prepared. That's not a good look. And like I said, a lot of this is conversational based. Task Foxtrot was the more heavily emphasized one. That was more of a presentation with scenario based stuff. So use examples, use real life stuff. For example, he gave me, what if your student comes to you and he's scared the wing's going to fall off? What are you going to do? So you got to use your team acronym, your transfer, eliminate, assess, mitigate. How you're going to use that, using a severity risk frat chart. How you're charting that, how big of a risk that is. Talking about, if that student actually feels like that, he's probably not going to learn very well on the plane. So we need to address that, show him videos of how stable our airplane is, things like that. That's kind of fundamentals of instructing FOIs. You start it off strong. It's not that hard. It's common sense stuff. Open up the book, read it. You'll figure it out pretty soon. You don't need to know all the acronyms. A lot of people like to say, learn all the acronyms. You don't need to know all of them. It's good to know as much as you can, but have sheets, have resources with you. We'll kind of break that down a little later. And then Air Operation 2, runway incursions, Task Kilo, endorsements. You got to nail those. I'll show you a good resource for Task Kilo. I got performance limitations as well. So it's those two and then one of the other ones. So runway incursion is pretty straightforward. Endorsements is hard. If you nail that one, your DB will be very impressed. So I suggest you really study that one. And then performance limitations is pretty straightforward if you actually read through Task Foxtrot. One of the examples, he told me, I think we were talking about true airspeed, the definition, kind of explain it, explain how, our airplane at 10,000 feet is going to be different at sea level. While our climb and takeoff performance is going to be different, those speeds are going to be different, and how our plane's affected by that less dense air up there in our horsepower or our engine. So to give examples, all that kind of stuff. Air Operation 3, you're going to get one task. I end up getting pilot qualifications. You'll get one of those. And read through this stuff. So when you go to the task, let's see. For example, you get weather. You see that there's a ton of stuff. Actually read the notes. If K2 is selected, the evaluator must suggest at least 3 sub-elements. So you're not going to be talking about this all. Be prepared for it all, but you're not going to talk about everything. That would take way too long. My role ended up being like 4 hours, so they want to talk about weather, that could be a whole 12-hour conversation, which I don't think DPs want to get into. You're going to have to do a pre-flight lesson on a maneuver, and that's pretty much the ground. Then it's going to be pre-flight. You're going to do one of these tasks. You're going to do traffic patterns or communications. You're going to do 2 takeoffs, 2 landings, so be prepared to do all of them. Teach them. You're going to do one of these. I got straight climbs, climbing turns. So basically, like I'm saying, like steep turns or steep spirals, chandelles or lazy 8s, ground reference and 8s on pylons. We're going to do slow flight or the new slow flight, power off or power on. So using your resources, know what to expect, know what you're doing going into it, emphasize what you need to know, Do not bust on something that you knew was coming. All right, step 2, know your DPE. And this can be a tough one sometimes. Sometimes DPEs are ghosts, but ask around, look up information, ask if they have a family, see how they got into aviation, what they emphasize. It's good about being ATP. You get to deal with people that are just taking a check ride with them, so you get information, what they emphasize, because you always want to set a good first impression. Like I talked about, FYI is going to be what you first talk about. So if you start off strong, good some small talk. They're people too. They're not looking to fail you. Hopefully, they're looking to look for a safe, competent pilot and a person that wants to teach. So do whatever you got to do to be good. In that kind of aspect, see if they like chess, see if they like sports, see whatever they like. Try and find some common ground to kind of build off that. Then my third tip: buy lesson plans. A lot of people say don't buy them. I disagree. If you're in an accelerated program, I had 2 weeks to get endorsed, dang near, so I don't have time to make 60 plus lesson plans. I bought them off of Wi-Fi CFI. This site, $25 a month. You can go on there, buy that. You can cancel it if you want, but you get fully customizable PowerPoints, Word documents, whatever you want to use, and it gives you a good ground reference. Don't use this as a crutch. Don't use this as this is it. It's on. You put in any work. You need to go through every plan. There's going to be spelling errors. There's going to be certain images you don't like. Customize it to your advantage. Get up, practice it in front of people. Teach, see what works, what doesn't work, because you don't want to bore the DP to death. But you want to use visuals. You want to make it customizable to you, personable to you. Like I said, if you have 6 months to do CFI, you can make your own. By all means, go for it. But there's tons of good information out there. That kind of leads into my fourth tip: use your resources. I like this guy, Ryan, CFI binder, Ryan C. Benz. Look him up online. Go to this website. He's got a ton of resources. He actually has lesson plans you can look at. So if you ever get confused, you need something else to look at for free. He has stuff you can buy to customize as well. But let's say you want to talk about Foxtrot, risk management. He has stuff about that. This is the charts I was talking about. So how to mitigate risk. So use resources. There's a ton of good stuff out there. Make sure you're looking at ACS related stuff. PTS is related, but it's not the ACS now. So learn how to apply that. Make your own resources, do that. And this is the example I was talking about for the endorsement quick reference guide. If you go to his references, you'll find this sheet, and this is huge. It gives you endorsements, the alpha numbers for the AC 6165 hotel. It kind of breaks it down, in the flow of, let's say, going from solo to private pilot. If you're changing your category class, all this kind of stuff. It breaks it down. It's so simple. This sheet got me through CFI. If I wouldn't have this, it'd been very difficult to make it through. So I suggest downloading this, printing it out, highlighting certain things. Knowing this is going to help you a ton. It's a great resource. And also, my fifth, kind of leads into my fifth tip is, teach. Have fun with it. Be loose. Use scenario-based training. Use examples. Have fun. This Checkride is doable. I know a lot of people say it's the hardest Checkride in the world, and by all means, it's not easy. It was a grind. Find people you can study with. Find people you can practice with. But it's doable. I promise you, it can be done. I know there's a lot of horror stories, but with the new ACS, I think it's a lot better than the PTS. It can be a lot shorter. Like I said, my roll was almost 4 hours. Flight was 1.5. And they're not looking for perfection. In the flight, I was not perfect by any means. But you emphasize looking outside, teaching, using your references, using your horizon, teaching how you're going to use talk about the horizon, talk about sight picture, talk about using your peripherals. Use everything outside, and then verify with instruments. Talk about common errors with certain things. Not staying coordinated, not looking for traffic. All those kind of things you want to be emphasizing while you're doing everything in the plane. On the ground, obviously, you need to crush that before you get to the plane. But my main point: be simple. Do not overthink this. Have fun with it. Keep it short and sweet. And keep a binder of all your resources. Like I got here, I have a ton of different stuff. if I ever needed it, I can go up, pull it back up. Let's say I got confused about a VFR chart. I had to go over that for some reason. I got that. Let's say I got confused in runway incursions. There was a symbol I didn't know, and I could pull it up. So be proactive, come in over prepared, but it's stressful because it's subjective Checkride, and it's that's just how it is. Checkride is how it is. You're dealing with a personality, you're dealing with a person. So try to know as much as you can going into it. Give it your best shot. They're not expecting perfection. I promise you, they're really not. I was not. So do your best. Feel free to leave comments, ask questions if you want more in-depth things. Those are my top 5 tips. Good luck to you, and peace out.